Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and today I'm sharing with you the Moving Beyond the Page curriculum for ages 11 to 13. That's roughly 6th and 7th grade. Now I've already done an extensive review for the curriculum for 4th and 5th grade. That would be ages 8 to 10, and that video is linked above, below, and at the end of this video, and you'll get a much more in-depth view of the curriculum in that video. Now I want to share with you what comes in the curriculum and also the prices. The first thing I want to mention is that I borrowed this curriculum from a friend who purchased it a few years ago, so the prices have gone up slightly, but they are roughly the same. So about under $1,000 for the whole complete year for the ages 11 to 13 and just under $800 for the ages 8 to 10. So that's around 4th to 5th grade. And today I'm going to show you the one for 6th to 7th grade. This is a pricey curriculum. Also, this particular full year package did not include a math curriculum. They do recommend Right Start Math, which is available on their website. Some of the younger years also have a math component integrated into the curriculum as well, which is an option. But for this one, you're looking at nearly $1,000 plus a couple hundred to several $100s more for a math curriculum. So this is probably the priciest curriculum I've seen. But it does come with absolutely everything you're going to need, including extensive science kits that are really nicely organized, very easy to use and coordinate with the different workbooks. So the curriculum comes with the curriculum books, which I'm going to show you, as well as the literature, which I'm going to show you as well, and the science kit, which are the manipulatives. So I do not have all of the literature that comes with this particular grade level, but this is only a fraction of the books that are included. Now you could also just get the workbooks by themselves and not the books, and then you could just go and buy your own books, or you can get them from the library. But I think for someone who doesn't want to have to bother with trying to find all the different resources that go along with the curriculum, then it's just a lot easier just to get it as a complete package. You can also purchase the science kits separately if you want as well, but again, sometimes it's just easier to have them all together. Now, one more disclaimer I want to mention is that we have not used this curriculum, nor do we have any intention to do so. I've simply borrowed the curriculum from a friend so that I can share it with you. So this is just a sampling of the books that come with the curriculum. And what's great is that this is an interdisciplinary approach, and so all the subjects work together. They've been chosen to coordinate, like all the literature has been chosen to coordinate with the different subject matters for the year, and then you will be using your workbooks in order to do the work related to your reading, which are all of these beautiful books. All right, so this is barely a third of what you would actually get with the curriculum. Now the workbooks differ a little bit from the 8 to 10-year-old level, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the difference here because it makes a considerable jump from the 4th, 5th grade elementary level into the junior high level. So the first thing in the book is a table of contents, and it's going to show you all the lessons that are contained in this book. And this section down here is a parent overview, so it gives you more information about the lesson. Now the lessons generally take 1 day unless otherwise noted, so some lessons may take 2 days, and then when you get down to your final project, it could take up to 3 days. Now, the way that the units are set up for junior high are also different than for elementary school in that you are having 2 semesters. You have 2 semesters rather than the 4 concepts. So let me pull out this book to show you the difference between the two. It's nice that it's responsive to the changes that you would typically find in a public school when students start to have 2 semesters rather than a full year of classes. So this is the elementary age and this is the junior high age, and you can see that you have 4 concepts, and then each concept has 3 units, and in the units you'll always have a literature unit, but you'll either have a science or a social studies unit that coordinates. So you're only having 2 workbooks for each unit, and you have 3 units for each concept, and then again you have 10 lessons in each book, and it ends with a final project. So for the junior high level, you have considerably more, but you only have 2 semesters. And each semester comes with 5 units, and each unit has 3 workbooks. So you have your science, social studies, and language arts. And then you have your 10 lessons ending with a final project. So there are a lot of workbooks. There are a lot of projects and activities. This is fairly extensive and I think quite time consuming. So this book is going to explain how the semester's units and lessons are divided up. It's 80 days worth of material for each semester. So if you double that, that's only 160 days versus the traditional school year, which is around 180 days. And they say that they've left a couple of weeks for flexibility within the curriculum so that you can add other things. But based on the amount of work, I don't think that a typical family student would be able to get through all the work in the time that's provided. But again, since I haven't worked through this, I could be off on this, but based on the information I have received from 3 families who have used this curriculum, they found it with far more material than what could be done in the amount of time that was suggested. You have your vocabulary, and it explains how to do the vocabulary on a daily basis. That is included in this workbook. Spelling, however, is not included. Spelling will be done based on the words that your child is misspelling on a regular basis, and so you'll keep a spelling log, and they have a little recommendation on how to do that, where you have the assessment on Monday to figure out which words you're going to need to learn. Then you can practice them, and then you can practice them in a sentence, and then you will have a test, and then on Friday you have nothing. And then you also have a daily journal, which is recommended separate from your spelling journal, and that's something to do some writing in. It suggests that you don't focus too much on grammar and spelling. It's just a means to get the child writing on a daily basis. So the next page is going to go over your lesson structure and your parent overview. The aim of this curriculum for this age group is to help your student become more independent. And so this workbook is laid out to help your student achieve that kind of independence. So it's going to go through these different areas that you're going to need to do for each lesson. So there's the getting started, and that introduces the child to the lesson, the stuff that you'll need. And I'm going to show you this in the book because it comes with all these items that your child is going to need for the lesson. You can have a little checkbox there to check off what you're going to need, or if you already have them, ideas to think about. Those are the questions that are included with each lesson so that you can kind of start to think about what the lesson is about and just some ideas throughout the lesson. The activities, which are the heart of the lesson, this is going to take up a considerable amount of time. Those are the worksheets that are included in this workbook. Actually, it probably would take up, equal time to the reading or some of the other activities. It's just that there are a lot of worksheets for the lessons. So each lesson contains multiple activities as well as reading, as well as possibly some hands-on projects. So it's quite extensive. And then it finishes up with the wrapping up, which sums up the lesson. There is the parent overview, and this is at the back of the book, and it's going to include the answer keys, ideas for discussion, questions to ask during the lesson. So you've got your big ideas, your facts and definitions, and a couple other things. The typical day. So this is a long school day. I know this is junior high, but based on the amount of work that is provided in here, as well as including your math curriculum, I feel like the hours that are given here are not going to be enough in order to complete everything that is provided. So it says approximately 4 hours should be devoted to your science, social studies, and language arts lessons. that is what is included in this curriculum. Those are all the workbooks. An additional hour to your math curriculum of your choice. And then they recommend another 15 to 20 minutes reviewing vocabulary and spelling words. 30 minutes for physical activity. And then over here you have like some additional ideas on what you could do. So you've got 30 minutes of in-depth exploration on a topic in the curriculum, 30 minutes to reteach and reinforce skills, another 30 minutes for real life applications. So you're looking at a really long, extensive day, which also does not take into account your break time and interruptions and meal times. And I know this is geared towards an independent child, but children, regardless of their grade level, are going to need your help. And if you are homeschooling more than one child, I can imagine that this amount of work is going to take longer than the time suggested. However, I have not worked through this particular curriculum with my children, so I can't say accurately based on my experience. I'm really saying this based on the experience of the 3 families who have shared their experiences with me, as well as my own personal experiences with my homeschooling, with the work that we do. And when I set out to plan how long it's going to take for things, it always takes longer. Okay, so then this next page is going to go through the required books. Now, this is an overview of this entire book, but then you're also going to have your lessons, which are a few pages long, which are going to detail each lesson. So the first thing that you're going to need is the book that's required. That is included in the curriculum if you're getting that package. Then it's going to have your materials list, which I think is fantastic. Now, putting together these different things is also going to take time. And however much this curriculum has been organized in a way to minimize the amount of time you're going to need to pull all these resources together, you still are going to need to set aside some time to plan your lessons. So there are some things that you're going to need to purchase separately in order to do the lessons, and then some things it says indicates material that is either optional or may not be used. So that's nice to know that they have included that in case you are going out with your big shopping list at the beginning of the school year. At least you know that there are some things that are optional. It's going to go through each lesson and explain what you're going to need, so you could actually get this all completed ahead of time so that you have smooth sailing once you start your lessons. It also goes through your vocabulary, which is at the beginning of the book, and then I believe it jumps right into your lessons. Oh, no, I forgot to tell you about the review sheet, which I think is fabulous. And I want to really quickly compare that to the review sheet in the 4th to 5th grade curriculum, because again, you can really see that they have made an appropriate jump from elementary school into junior high. You can see that the review sheet for the 4th to 5th grade is considerably smaller, a lot more simple for each lesson. You can see that here for the 6th, 7th grade, it is quite extensive for each lesson. What's nice about the review sheet is that this will allow you to understand what the purpose of that particular lesson is. And also, if you chose to use different materials, at least you would know what your goal is for that particular lesson if you wanted to do a different activity or just choose different books. All right, so now we're into the lesson, and there are several pages that introduce what the lesson is going to be about and some of the activities that you're going to be doing. So this is quite a lot of reading just to get started with that lesson of the day. That's just one lesson of the day, and you've got 3 of these workbooks for every day. So getting started, this is something that your student should be able to read before the lesson starts, and then it's going to go through your ideas to think about, things to know, and then your reading questions. These questions are based on the reading. So first you're going to have to read the pages in the book that's provided, and then you've got your questions. I've borrowed this from a friend, so my friend's student started this but did not finish this curriculum, so some of the pages are used or missing because they were used. Then you're going into your activities. So for this first lesson, you have activity 1, and it has like all of this stuff related to activity 1, explaining it. And what the checkboxes are for are to help your student become independent with this work. So once this activity is completed, you can check it off, and it kind of gives your student a checklist of what needs to be accomplished for that lesson. Then you have activity 2, which has 2 different options. So that's nice about this curriculum. If one option doesn't work for your child, either it doesn't interest your child or it's not the right level for your child, you can do option 2. So sometimes the worksheets are similar or even exactly the same, and sometimes they're different. Then you have your wrapping up section, and that continues over here. So let me show you some of the pages. Some of these pages are missing, so I'm just going to go through and just kind of thumb through the book so that you can get an idea of what comes in this particular workbook. You can see that each lesson begins with the same kind of lesson overview, some questions related to the reading, as well as an explanation of your activities. This is considerably more extensive than the younger grades. And something that is interesting too is that you can tell the font size difference. This is for the 7th graders. This is larger than the younger grades. And so my impression is that this is meant to be read by that 7th grader, whereas this is meant to be read by the teacher. That's what I would guess, because a 4th and 5th grader isn't going to read all of these things. And this is meant for your 7th grader to read through, and there's places available within the workbook to answer the questions related to the reading. So let me find an activity that shows you the options so that you can get an idea of how that works. But before I do that, actually, let me show you that the workbook is also going to take the place of some manipulatives or even some kits, because it comes with these activities where you're going to be constructing the model of an Egyptian worker's house, and it's going to come with all of the materials that you need here. You can color this, you can cut this out, you can paste it together and make this Egyptian worker's house. So there are several pages devoted to that. All right, so then you get to your final project. There's a final project in each of the workbooks. This one estimates 3 days for your final project. It goes through all the things that you're going to be doing for this. So the final project is really extensive. There are a lot of things that go along with it, and yet it only estimates about 3 days, or only allows about 3 days within the curriculum to do this project. In my experience, when we're doing a major project like this, it would take at least a week to complete. However, final projects, or just big projects in general, I feel have a really long lasting effect with your child and with the education of that particular unit, or just understanding the information in that particular unit. So as much as some families might feel they want to, skip over the final project, I would really encourage you to try it. And even if this particular final project doesn't work well for your family, just doing any kind of major project related to a unit that you're doing, I find it to be really a good teaching tool. All right, so let me jump into the parent overview. This is the last section of the book. It's only about 30 pages, but this is going to overview what your child is going to do with each of the different activities and the different lessons. So it just gives you a little bit of oversight of what's going on with this particular workbook and with the curriculum in general. And of course, you have your answer keys in the parent overview section. Okay, so that was the workbook for Egypt and Mesopotamia. That is Unit 1, Semester 1, Social Studies. The other books for Unit 1 are Language Arts and Science. So I'm going to just flip through these as well. The structure is very similar in each of the workbooks. It is worksheet heavy. Some pages can be cut apart and kind of like manipulatives. The science workbook is going to also coordinate with the science kit, and the beginning of each workbook has a similar format. It shows you the table of contents, explains the different lessons, and for the whole workbook, it shows you how many days each one is going to take. Again, it has some information that you're going to find in each of the workbooks with, how to set up your school day and how many units are in each semester. What's going to be different is the materials list and the required books. That starts each workbook. That way you can get your materials together. And then it also is going to have your vocabulary sheet, and this one's pretty extensive, and then your review sheet. And again, this one is quite a bit more extensive than the social studies review sheet, and this also reflects that the child is now in junior high, and so it's meeting the needs of that new growth for that child. Then it's going to go into your lessons, and again, you're going to have your reading and your questions, and then you're going to have your activities. So it's going to explain how to do each of these different activities, and then of course, these activity workbooks or worksheets are provided here so that you have everything in one space in order to do all of your work. This workbook was started by a student, but it wasn't finished. My friend said that it was just too much stuff, too many worksheets, and eventually it gets a little bit tedious and boring because it's repetitive in the sense that it's a little bit of reading and then the same kind of activity, and it's worksheet based. And so it ended up not really lasting for this particular family. For another family, just the sheer volume of everything was a turnoff, as well as the kits that came with the curriculum. That was just too much for her. And that's the thing. This curriculum has to not just work for the student, it also needs to work for you as a parent. So while all of the projects that accompany this curriculum would be something that I personally would enjoy to do with my kids, it's not for everybody. So let me just scroll through the language arts book really quickly so that you can get an idea of what comes inside this workbook. Again, you're going to find a similar structure for all the different workbooks throughout all the different units. So that was for Unit 1. So 3 workbooks for Unit 1. These 3 workbooks should take about 3 to 4 weeks. So 3 to 4 weeks to complete all of these. Then you have Unit 2. So you've got, again, your science, social studies, and language arts. Again, the literature is provided for each of these different workbooks. And then you have, again, for Unit 3, you've got your literature, you've got The Hobbit, and Australia, and the Lithosphere. And so this is just going to continue through till you're done with unit or semester 1. And then you've got, of course, your semester 2. So a lot of material. I want to show you really quickly what comes with the science kits. So you get 2 science kits. You've got one for semester 2, and then you have your semester 1. And these kits are really nicely organized. You have everything in these little baggies. It explains on the front exactly what it is, and it has everything that you're going to need, which is fantastic for all of your different projects. What's great about this is that you don't have to go out and look for all of these materials independently, which would probably be quite expensive if you're trying to buy these things individually. So having them all together in a kit like this allows you to have everything that you need ready for your science projects, and that is something that I really appreciate. So I feel like this is really user-friendly. It's also very student-driven, and that's something that would be helpful if you've got multiple students and you really need something that your children can do independently, or you just prefer to have a curriculum that your students can do independently, then this might be a good way to go. The one thing that you want to make sure before you purchase this curriculum is that you are purchasing the correct grade level. There's a way to figure that out going to their website, and that link is in the description box below, because you want to make sure that your child can read at the level necessary to read the books and the literature that come with this curriculum, as well as to be able to write to the level that is going to be necessary for this grade level. If you have any questions about this curriculum, or if you have used this curriculum, I would love to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section below. All right, thanks for watching. quite heavy. That's a lot of paper. I think I'm done. Great. All right.